Bills Post-Game Live. We are presented by the divorce and estate planning law firm of Clark, Peshkin, Maddy, Glab, alongside Steve Tasker. And the Bills fall to the Eagles in overtime. Final score 37-34. And the Bills were able to get the lead with less than 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. And you're thinking, okay, what's going to happen from here? Are the Eagles going to score quick? Do the Bills have another chance before the end of this one? The Eagles are able to tie it up with a 59-yard field goal in terrible conditions, rainy, wet, able to make that field goal. So we're going into overtime, and the Bills have a chance to win it, have a chance to score, and there's a miscommunication on a Josh Allen throw over to Gabe Davis. Gabe beat his defender one-on-one, had a great chance, but the ball just wasn't there. Miscommunication between those two, unfortunately. And then the Eagles go and score a touchdown once they get the ball. So that would be the final score of the game, 37-34. Just not enough for the Bills. There are a lot of penalties in this one, 11 penalties for the Bills for 80 yards. The Eagles just have 4 for 30 yards. But when you needed it most, and when you needed things to come together at the end of the game, it just didn't work for Buffalo. It's a disappointing loss, an upsetting loss, because they controlled a lot of this game, I want to say. Josh Allen looked like he was more and more like himself in this game, with the deep passes, with him taking the ball himself on the scramble runs for first downs. They were converting third downs at a high rate. Third and long, they were doing a great job converting them in this one. And so there's a lot of positives, but then with how the game ended, it's disappointing, because this team is talented enough to beat an Eagles team now that is 10-1, but they couldn't do it tonight. Yeah, and they got enough guys out there in positions to make plays. They just couldn't get it done. Gabe Davis, and the one you mentioned, he turned outside. The ball was inside. He was behind the defender. He ends up backpedaling, trying to find the ball, and he settled for the field goal. Even earlier in the game on a slant, Trent Sherfield went outside the cornerback. If he'd slanted inside hard where he was supposed to be, where Josh threw the ball, he catches it, goes into the end zone, catches it on the goal line. End up getting no points off of that drive as well. So, Hugh, and of course, James Cook dropping a touchdown pass on the first drive of the game. A couple missed field goals too. Incredible amount of points left on the board by the Buffalo Bills. It cost them the game, and that's been the frustration of the entire season. Yeah. Well, let's hear from QB1 himself, Josh Allen, now at the podium.
Can you explain on the last pass to Gabe? Was it just a miscommunication? You thought he was going one way, he went the other? Is that what happened there? Yeah, it's an option route. We're there in zero, so we max protected it. Understanding, they're coming to get me. I made a guess, and I guess wrong. Hey, Josh, all lost is this one? Yeah. How do you recover? Well, we got to refresh, get healthy for this next week, and you got to attack the rest of the season week by week.
Do you feel like the offense took another step in the right direction with the performance tonight?
We're just going out there. I thought our guys had a lot of great effort. We just got to make one more play.
Josh, you've referenced 21 before. That game, you play in Tampa, you lose on a touchdown in overtime, but the offense found something. Do you feel like, building off last week, there was some, I won't say positives, but something building off of this?
Yeah, I think you can say that, and again, I think effort was there, execution was there. Just got to make a couple more plays, and there's a couple we wish we had back.
Josh, the decision to get Neal with 20 seconds left, was that a discussion at all on the sideline, or is that just...
No, that's the right play.
Josh, you guys did everything you could think of, come back and battle back, play them all time and again. Just how hard is it to cover in a loss like this one?
Well, make no mistake, it's a really good football team. They're defending NFC champs for a reason. They made plays tonight and made enough to win the game.
You were able to get Gabe going against
It'll be important. Got to find a way to win.
What happened on the pick? Did you not see him? It looked like you just didn't see him. Is that what happened there?
Yeah, they played trap coverage. Steph did a good job of, getting inside and being friendly, and the kid made a hell of a play.
Josh, football level, but in terms of where you find yourself as a team right now, how confident are you as a group to make a push and push them and make that playoff push?
I'm extremely confident in our guys and the men that we have in this locker room. And we understand where we're at. So we gotta get things going.
You did a concerted effort, Josh, again, to use your feet, again, to run the ball the way we've seen you do it in the past. Can you talk about maybe how you're reincorporating that into your game and it's maybe evolving back to that a little bit?
I think the opportunity just kind of presented themselves today, and I don't think it was coming into this game thinking I'm running more or less. It just, they presented themselves and we took advantage of it. Thank you, guys.
All right, that was Josh Allen. This week's game against the Eagles is presented by LECOM, Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine. We make doctors. What did you think of Josh Allen's comments there? First question he was asked was about that throw over to Gabe Davis in overtime when Gabe had one-on-one coverage, seemed to beat his defender, and the ball placement was off, whether that was on Josh or Gabe Davis. Josh said it was an option route. I guessed wrong. We saw Gabe Davis backpedaling into the end zone trying to find the ball, but he couldn't come up with it.
Yeah, and you'll have routes like that where the defender, you just pick a side of the defender. Mm-hmm. Josh has got to let it go before Gabe can close the cushion and make that decision. Gabe makes the decision after Josh has thrown the football, turns around, the ball's in the wrong direction. Pretty frustrating considering Josh lets this go and Gabe had no chance of doing it. Standing wide open in the end zone as well. It would have been an easy throw if Josh had 0.2 of a second more to throw it or waited 0.2 of a second more to throw it. But that's why zero blitz comes. You got to get the ball off, and Gabe didn't have the speed or the guy couldn't break the cushion down fast enough. Those are the kind of things you kind of have to have as a second nature chemistry with the guy. These guys have been playing together for a long time. You'd like to see him make plays like that, and that's really the story of the game. The drop pass going in on the first series, couple of missed field goals. The slant play to Sherfield that would have been a touchdown before they backed themselves out and ended up punting, that kind of stuff. Or that was actually the Davis or the Cook touchdown that was dropped. So just missed plays, missed opportunities offensively. Defensively, they played extremely well early in the first 2.5, 3 quarters of that game. Then Philadelphia kind of got a handle on it and started to make some haze. You'd think they would probably do that, being as good as they are with Jalen Hurts and having their own really good players. But by that time, the Bills should have had a much bigger cushion than just 10 points, and they just couldn't get there. Yeah,
a team like the Eagles, they're going to fight and do whatever they can to get back into the game, and they were able to do that in the second half of the game. So that's why you want to build a lead up in the first 2 quarters. The Bills did have a lead, but you never know when the Eagles can come back, and they were going to do everything they could to be able to do that, and the game goes into overtime because of those missed opportunities by the Bills. We know this team is better than that. There were a lot of positives in this one, and we'll get to that for sure, but we're going to get to first the Player Spotlight. This week's Player Spotlight is presented by Microsoft Surface. Microsoft Surface is the official tablet and sideline technology of the Buffalo Bills, and we are spotlighting Josh Allen on this one because Josh just looked more like himself in the game. He goes 29 of 51, not the best completion percentage. 56.9% is what he finishes with. 339 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. He does throw an interception, also grabs 2 rushing touchdowns, 81 rushing yards, which is the most we've seen out of Josh Allen all season. What did you like about his game tonight?
Well, the fact that he was using his legs when it was appropriate. Mm-hmm. When he had openings, he took it. He converted third downs. The Bills were converting 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 9 like it was nothing tonight. And it had to be really frustrating for the Eagles. They got a full dose of a really good quarterback tonight in Josh Allen. He did show up. He showed up big time. And he made the Eagles pay. He took what was there from the defense, and he also made them pay for not having a guy athletic enough to stop him with a spy. 2 rushing touchdowns, and the rushing touchdowns were crushers. Good and long runs for him as well. So, yeah, Josh was by far the engine that made the Bills go tonight. 34 points. You'd like to win games like that when you score 34 points, even in overtime. And Josh certainly had enough chances to make those plays, and he just needed one or two guys to either make a catch or just make a different choice. There was a couple of times we saw late in the game where he took a quick screen. Neither receiver was looking for it. That can't happen in games like this.
Yeah, in games like this, you need your quarterback to play as good as he can, and Josh Allen looked like that tonight, and we're starting to see now in consecutive games where Josh Allen is starting to look like the quarterback that we all know and love. Those big plays, he had some of those tonight. He had a 25-yard reception to Gabe Davis, a 22-yard reception to Stephon Diggs, James Cook, a 29-yard reception. Khalil Shakir, 31 yards. So you're seeing the big plays, and you're also seeing the scramble routes come together too, which was great to see him be able to convert a lot of third downs with his legs. All right, Gabe Davis is in the locker room. We're going to get right over to him.
Play, just kind of an option route. He guessed one way, you guessed the other way. Is that basically what happened?
Yeah.
If you guys did everything you can think of to get this one, a game like this, was it hard to put into words the emotion of a game like this and stuff?
I mean, no. We wasn't on the same page. It's that simple. We could have won the game.
As a team, just about trying to rebound a game like this one, and confident, all you guys in terms of getting this one and move it on.
I mean, we're confident. Like, we had the game. It was right there. Just, again, it was just towards the end, me and him had a miscommunication. That was a touchdown.
Can you speak to the level of frustration? I mean, you've had some really tough losses this year. Right? I mean, you have to agree there's been some really tough losses. Can you just speak to the frustration of that? Having games right there and not finishing?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we had them. We was driving around the field looking good. Good Philly defense, but at the end of the day, we knew we could win on against them, and we just didn't execute on the last play.
Is it option route? You say, is it that simple? Is it that simple to be on the same page? I mean, you're talking about two guys reading the complex defense with blitzes coming. Is it that simple? Should it be that simple to be on the same page?
Yeah, it's that simple. We've been running it for 4 years, so it is that simple. But we just mistakes happen, and we both made a mistake on not being on the same page. So.
The challenge here with this team, the final games of the season, to try and make that push. Just talk about the team's confidence level in terms of making that push and getting back to the postseason.
I mean, we're confident. We're a good team. We showed it out there tonight. We was going at it with the top dogs. I feel like there is no confidence loss. It's just we gotta make the plays when the plays are supposed to be made. We didn't do that tonight.
Dave, do you take anything out of it in terms of what you have been able to do offensively in the past, overall, in the past couple of weeks since the switch?
I mean, I feel like just the offense has been looking good the past 2 weeks. But I had the same confidence, whether it's whoever was calling the plays, because of the players that we had and what we can do. So, don't really, I'm going to still have confidence this day. Just how we had a loss, I'm going to have confidence. I'm still got confidence in the team for us to win. So,
how good was Josh Allen tonight? The number of plays he made out of structure and keeping drive alive?
I mean, that's what he does. That's his game. When stuff starts breaking down, he can get out of the pocket and make some plays, and he did that tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, that was Gabe Davis, and Gabe finished as the leading receiver. 6 receptions for 105 receiving yards, had a touchdown, was targeted 12 times, caught 6 of those 12 targets. Heading into this game, he had 0 receptions in 2 of the last 3 games. You see him in this game have a really big game. We haven't seen a 100 receiving yard game from Gabe Davis in quite some time. So it was nice to see him get back in the fold, but, his performance is a little bit clouded by what happened at the end of the game with that miscommunication and him saying, hey, we've ran this for the last few years. We should be on the same page. We weren't on that play. He knows it's not an excuse to not be on the same page. Mm-hmm. He knows, hey, you guys have been running it for several years now. You've been on this team together for several years. Things like that can't happen.
Yeah, and he had 12 targets, 6 receptions. Diggs had 6 receptions for 11 targets. Those are Diggs' numbers. They're a little bit off. Actually, Gabe Davis, that's about his catch ratio. You throw it to him he'll catch it half the time you target him. Everybody else is right where they have been. Shakir was a little off. A couple of his throws were in the dirt from Josh. Shakir had 5 targets and only 3 catches on those 5 targets. But everybody else, Cook, Kincaid, even Latavius Murray, they all caught all but maybe 1, maybe 2 of their targets all night. So you're getting a high catch ratio from everybody, and teams are really stepping up to take away Steph Diggs. But you're right. Gabe Davis and Josh, they've got to be sick over missing that throw because it was a game winner. And then then you look back, Tyler Bass has got to be sick over missing 2 field goals. Now, it was bad conditions, but then you see the other guy go hit a 59-yarder to send it to OT. Then you see, James Cook's got to be sitting there going, gosh, I had a touchdown in my hands on the first drive of the game. He ended up getting 43 yards on 16 carries, only 2.7 per carry. Latavius Murray, 9 carries for 36 yards, or for 30 yards. So they ran the ball well, particularly in the fourth quarter, and I thought it was a great strategic move by the Bills. They went down there and got those points to go up and took the lead with the catch by Davis. Worked the clock, got it under 2 minutes, made Philly use one of their timeouts, and then Philly just...
losing is frustrating in the zone. If we would have lost by 20 or if we lost by 3, if we lost by 6, it would have felt similar because an L is an L. So they're all frustrating in their own. We're a bunch of winners, but, a loss is a loss.
What can you say about your performance of Josh tonight?
Say it again?
What can you say about the performance of Josh tonight?
I mean, Josh looked like Josh to me. I mean, he's running around, he's making plays with his arm and his feet. That's the Josh that we all know, and I love to see it. So I'm 17 till the wheels fall off, so that's my guy.
Common thread in some of in a bunch of your losses are just not finishing drives, making critical mistakes, whether that's a penalty, a turnover, something like that.
To end a drive, a penalty?
To end a drive. Like you guys move the ball well, but there's a penalty here, there's a turnover there. Right?
I think that the ones that we did have a couple like penalties and we still scored. So, not to put a blanket on the penalties.
Right.
Like penalties suck, but they're part of ball. And when you're in a dogfight of a game, it's never supposed to be pretty. All of our jerseys are bloody and muddy and dirty. So, a dogfight is never supposed to be perfect. And we would love to play perfectly clean ball, but it's unrealistic for the duration of a full game. But hey.
Did it feel like those were? I mean, you can't complain about them because it happened, but it felt like a one-sided penalty called game. Did you get the feeling on the sideline as this was happening that you were kind of getting screwed a few times?
I don't got no beef with the refs, man. I don't got no beef. They be on me enough, so.
Hey, Deion, there's been a lot of...
I like the refs.
I'm sorry, Deion. There's been a lot of talk over that 2021 when you guys were struggling and you had a game in Tampa and you didn't win. You lost in overtime and then fought back and played great. Can you go back there when you think about where you are now and maybe where you were at that time?
I really don't even remember. But the good thing is that we have a bye week now, and we have a lot of time to think about what we have to do to make a positive push. And everything happens for a reason. I'm sorry that I can't relate to Tampa, but it just takes one good play after another to really get us going. But tough games, good teams. The Eagles are great. It's a tough league.
Understanding there are no moral victories or silver linings or any of that stuff, Deion, right? It's the NFL, but the offense has been more productive in the last couple of weeks. Do you take that into bye, I guess, with you? Is there something constructive with
that? I would say that I take it as more so like we have a lot of pieces right now that we could put a puzzle together with the offense, Joe Brady has been dicing it up. Josh has been doing his thing. Running backs have been crushing it. The tight ends have been doing a great job in their role, and everybody's been doing their part. The O-line has been staying intact and staying, one beat. So it's a good feeling. So there is definitely positives that we're going into the bye week with. Losing does suck, but there's definitely pieces of this loss that are great. And we're going to take them, we're going to see them, and we're going to emphasize them and build on them. Yeah, appreciate you.
Thank you, Deon.
Thanks, Deon. Appreciate it.
Okay, Deon Dawkins, they're talking about how there's positives heading into the bye week. So let's talk about a couple of those positives. The Bills now have scored over 30 points in the last 2 games. Heading into the last 2 games the Bills had, they had gone 6 games without scoring over 25 points. So it's good to see them get back to scoring 30 points. We know this team is a high-powered offense when Josh Allen is wheeling and dealing like he was tonight. What have you thought about the play call by Joe Brady? What did you like out of him tonight? What were some of the highlights?
There was only one play that I was like, It was the first running play. They'd been running the ball well through the fourth quarter to get the lead before they lost it, or before it got to overtime. And he came out and ran first play out of the overtime period was a shotgun run.
Right.
I would have loved to see it under center and really say, listen, we're going to come at you again with this running game. It would have, or play actioned out of it, but it was one of those plays where you hand the ball to the running back in the backfield and he's standing still right next to the quarterback, and it takes too long to get going, and by that time that superior front of the Eagles is got it. So that's the only play I really didn't like, but I loved the way he called the game and the way Josh threw it, the choices he made. He was taking checkdowns. He was forcing the defense to respect his ability to run, and when they didn't, he made them pay for it.
Right.
He spread the football all over the field. He gave targets to everybody. Kincaid was extremely good in the first half, really steady as he has been, and so was Gabe Davis, who got a ton of targets tonight, which I would think would start to happen because teams are going to say, listen, if they can beat us with Gabe Davis not getting any targets last week,
right,
let's see if you can throw it to him and beat us. And so that's how they played it. Davis had a nice day, but they didn't beat him. So look for more of that. Steph Diggs, it's getting harder and harder to feed him the ball. 11 targets, he only could catch 6 of them. So that, I love the way he's used and the way he's not afraid to hand the football off on 2nd and long, on 1st and 10. Certainly the Bills in 2020 when they kind of mushroomed and Josh came into his own, they threw the ball more than anybody else on 1st down. And that's nice to do. But on a night when it's raining and pouring, and also when you can do it, and do it well, which the Bills did, run it on 1st down because those teams are going to have to respect. They're going to have to bear up in the coming games. Works better when you win games because then they don't know what to do. But now when they've got a blueprint and they won't be they'll know, hey, they'll run it on 1st down. We'll do it, but we can still beat them if we can't stop the run, which is what the Eagles did. Bills ran the ball well.
Yeah. Speaking of running the ball well, James Cook has 100 scrimmage yards in this one, had 43 rushing yards, 57 receiving yards. He has, heading into this game, he ranked 4th in the NFL with 688 rushing yards and had the 3rd most scrimmage yards among running backs this season behind Christian McCaffrey and Travis Etienne. He's quietly having a pretty good season when he gets his hands on the ball. I know he had that tough drop in the beginning of the game, but still puts together statistically a pretty nice game. Yeah, and we'll have to have more of it, So he's certainly still the guy, although Ty Johnson is starting to get some snaps as well. But Cook is really, every once in a while, he gives you a glimpse of what he can really do. Yeah. And being available, and when he gets out in the open field, he was the owner of a couple of big plays tonight that really put the Bills in nice spots. And he's a nice guy to rely on because it's in the run game, it's in the pass game. I mean, he is a weapon that you can use in multiple ways. And as you talk about, Steve, as we go on in the season and it gets tougher and tougher to get the ball to guys like Stephon Diggs, you got to find different people to be able to hand it off to or throw it to. And James Cook is one of those guys. He's put up some nice stats early on this season, but I think the ceiling for him is still a lot higher. Right. Yeah, and I think that they're finding him, and the more opportunities he gets, the better he has gotten throughout the season. That you love to see that. Murray and Ty Johnson as his backups, that crew seems to be clicking really well. No question, Joe Brady is, whatever it is, has given this offense some juice. Whether it's a different mindset for Josh Allen,
whether it's more opportunities for different guys, whether it's spreading the football around, whatever message he's given it to him when he's installing these plays, it has really translated into 30-point-plus games.
And then on the defensive end of things, let's talk about that a little bit right here. The Bills were able to force 2 takeaways. Josh Allen just had 1 interception. So heading into this game, the Bills were 4-0 when they won the turnover battle. They win the turnover battle tonight, but unfortunately they lose this game. But the Bills early on, they did a really good job of holding the Eagles out of scoring opportunities. This is an offense that knows how to score in multiple ways when you have guys like DeAndre Swift and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I mean, they can score in multiple ways, and I think the Bills, with what they had going into this game, there were a couple guys out. Taylor Rapp was not a part of this game plan. You had other defensive backs that were not a part of this game plan, and they did a really nice job, I think, starting up front. Greg Rousseau had a great game.
Yeah, he did, and they started out on the first 3 plays of the game. Jalen Hurts had to throw it away 3 times, and they ended up just punting it. It was a really solid, strong effort by the Bills' defense. And the longer this game went on, you knew sooner or later Philly was going to come up with something. And they did finally, and ended up getting back in the game, particularly after halftime, which has been their MO. They're a really good halftime adjustment team. They do a better job when they can get everybody in the locker room. Some teams do it series by series. I know Philly does that as well. But the second half of these games has been indicative of their ability to elevate, not only in their coaching staff but also on the field. And that's why they were NFC champs last year.
All right, let's hear from one of our defensive players. Micah Hyde was in the locker room after the game, so let's hear what he had to say.
How stunning was it that the guy made a 59-yard field goal
That
in
was
those conditions?
That was nuts. Obviously this is the NFL. You understand. You never think you're going to, until there's 0 time left on the clock, you don't assume you won the game. But that was a hell of a kick to be able to. And it was a line drive too. He was able to move from the hands of the defenders and was able to get that in. That was pretty amazing kick by them.
Micah, this is second or third time that you guys have given up a drive at the end to lose a game. There's a lot of new guys who are playing on defense. Is it just a matter of these guys have not been in a position where they have closed stuff out, where they know how to finish that off, how to make that last play, and need to get that first one to figure it out?
No. We practiced it a lot. It doesn't matter who's in the game. We understand what the situation is of the game, and we're just unable. Like I said, I thought we had it before the end of the game. They had a couple of penalties. They were backing up. Poe made a good play to keep them backed up, and they kicked that field goal. That was tough. And then towards the end of the game, in overtime too, same thing. Thought we got some takeaways. Didn't go our way, and they were just able to punch it in.
Where are you in terms of the number of close losses that are piling up here? The fact you've been close in so many, you could easily be 9-10 wins right now. And
That's the NFL. That's the NFL, man. Either on one side or the other. We've been fortunate enough around here for a long time to be on the winning side. And it seems like this year every game comes down to the last 2 minutes. Offense has the ball, we have the ball, and this is the results. So, it's unfortunate. Like you just said, we could have 9-10 wins right now. But that's in fantasy land, and in real life, we understand what our record is. And it's the NFL, man. Been doing it for a long time, and it's tough.
You've been in a lot of locker rooms. What is it like with another one like this, with this group specifically?
We understand what our record is. You can't doubt that. You can't shy away from it. We understand that this football team is. We definitely have a lot of upside. It's crazy to say that. Just come, with our record being 6-6, but like you just say, the close games that we've lost, and the games that we have lost have been by a few points. So we just got to continue to find a way in those situational moments to find a way to get a takeaway, or if the offense has the ball, get a touchdown.
Is this bye week coming at a good time to get a reset, understanding the tall task that you have ahead to try to push through?
I think the bye week you can always say it comes at a good time, just getting rest, and it's not in the first 3 games or 4 games or whatever. But this late in the season, it's definitely coming at a good time. We would like to get that win, get some momentum going into the bye, and go into KC next week. But like I just said, this is the reality. We got to live with it, got to swallow it, and find a way to correct things that we haven't been able to correct throughout the first 12 games over the bye week, and then hopefully 2 weeks when we go to KC, we can fix those.
What happened on the touchdown was the case, fourth quarter there?
Yeah, he scramble drill. I was behind him. Look up at the quarterback. He still has the ball, and last second, he gets behind me, tried to make a play on the ball, and just wasn't able to get out.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. Yep.
All right, Mike Hyde with some positives there, saying, this team has been in quite a few games, and the losses this season have not been by much. This team is now 6-6 on the season. A couple of those losses have been tough losses for this team, just by a few points. A couple plays you string together, and you end up getting a win. That's not the game that you can play, though. We can sit here and play that game, right. But those guys in the locker room know what they got to do to start being on the right side of those really close games. And they've got a week off to kind of figure some things out, and then you are with some tough opponents coming up towards the end of the season.
Yeah, you get into this game tonight, and the Bills, you knew, plus the Bills, and it, social media is absolutely going crazy over some of the missed calls and the penalties the Bills got. The Bills had 8 accepted penalties for 75 yards in the first half. The Eagles had 1, and in the second half, the Eagles had 4. The Bills had 1. So it was one of those games in the first half where drop passes, missed opportunities, missed field goals, missed scoring chances, missed red zone opportunities, where you were in a drive where you were in position to score at least a field goal and got pushed back out. You had to punt. It was that kind of half, and against a team like Philly, you just can't do that. Those guys make plays like that, and tonight the Bills couldn't. That's the game. And it's really got to be frustrating to look back and look at your team, if you're the Buffalo Bills, and look at that team and say, we could have throttled the NFC champs tonight. We could have beat them by multiple touchdowns, and we lose. That's the frustration of it.
Yeah, it's frustrating because this team is good enough to do it. We know it. They know it. We've seen it throughout the season and the beginning of the year, and then we've seen it in the last couple games, the potential that this group has. They just got to figure out how to put it together at a consistent level. All right, Sean McDermott is at the podium right now, so let's finish things off by hearing from him.
All right, obviously a hard-fought game. Game went back and forth. I thought our guys played hard. Had some opportunities to win it, and at the end of the day, they made more plays than we did. With that, I'll turn it over to you with your questions.
The decision to kick the field goal in overtime at 6, was there any thought of going for the win and trying to just win right there on offense?
Yeah, there was. If we had gotten to 4th and 2, 4th and 3 possibly, we had talked about that, going for the win for sure.
What was your reasoning behind kneeling at the end of the game?
Yeah, I mean, just, I thought about it. I thought about going for it just with their pass rushers, and, in 20 seconds, I just wanted to make sure. Really, I was trying to end the game a couple plays before, using the timeout on 3rd down. We had them at, I think it was the plus 41, trying to make sure we had the right defense there to make it a tough field goal, which it was, and emptied out the next one to try and, hey, it's in the rain, make the kicker think about it a little bit, and he made a 59-yard field goal. Great play by him, and then we're left with 1 right there, and so we went to overtime, got the ball, and had a chance to win it, and at the end of the day didn't.
Do you think you should have kept one of those? Like, I understand, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight's always 20/20, so believe me, it's gone through my mind more than once. So when you get the result you're always looking back and saying, hey, yeah, maybe kept one of those, and so that's the life we live.
I don't know if you could play much better defensively than you guys did in that first half. What, from your perspective, changed after halftime?
Yeah, in the second half, they hit a couple runs. They went to the run game more, Mike, there, and hit a couple runs, and then it became a two-dimensional type of game again with their running game, the RPOs, and then Hurts made a number of plays with his feet, more so in the second half than he did in the first half. So I thought we were rushing well in the first half and playing good rushing coverage, and they had their tackle down as well in the game, going into the game, and so I felt like our front was getting after him a little bit there, and then in the second half he got out a few times and was giving us some trouble with his feet.
Sean, I know these are always tricky questions, but the
evaluation of the officiating?
Yeah, I'm not going there. I appreciate the question, Tim, but I can't go there.
The 4-for-4 in the red zone. Obviously, I'm assuming you don't think that's going to be done defensively.
No, I mean, I thought our third down defense was good, but our red zone wasn't good enough. Tried to hit a zero blitz there at the end just to pop the quarterback run, and so they had to. I mean, he was making plays with his feet, so you're trying to do everything you can to add to the rush lanes, and he popped the run. So,
what do you make of the performance of the offense, and maybe in the broader context of 2 weeks now with Joe?
Yeah, I thought we moved the ball well. 500 yards. I think that says a lot about the direction we're headed on offense. I do think we had some opportunities to come up with more, and so just as an overall team, I think that's the kind of the general sentiment coming out of the game is, whether it's special teams, opportunities there, opportunities offensively, opportunities defensively, and so those are the ones you want back. I know the players want some of that back. I want some of it back. The coaches do as well. So against a good football team, came in here and played well. We just got to continue to work on finding plays, right? Finding plays down the stretch, and obviously not enough.
When you go on the road, score 34 against Philly, everybody knows how good they are on both sides of the ball. Does it feel a little bit from a complimentary perspective, the defense let the offense down a little bit in this spot?
Well, that's where I look first. Right, I look at myself first, and I look at the defense right after that. And in the second half, we didn't do enough to win the game. And so, if you come out and you're able to shut them down in the second half like we did in the first half, then yeah. But again, I think it's a team game, and so you have opportunities across the board, offensively, defensively, and special teams. But that's where I start with myself and the defense.
John, what was the explanation they gave you for the initial?
They said that Gabe was not in the area. Is that the one you're referring to? Yeah. From the information I got, Gabe was in the area. So that's what I go by.
What did you see out of Gabe in general tonight?
Yeah, I thought he made some big-time catches for us. I thought quite a few of the guys did. Josh moved the ball around a little bit there, and I thought Josh stood in the pocket well. And again, that's a good pass rushing defense.
On the shot at the end zone there to Gabe, was that he just turned the wrong way? What happens there?
Yeah, it was just a little bit of miscommunication there, and had him open, and that's where I'm saying that's one right there, where opportunity to win the game, put it away, and they made the plays that were there to be made, and we didn't. But we go back and learn from this, and we move forward.
What's the assessment of your place kicking lately?
Well, I think T. Bass has done some really good things. We have a lot of confidence in T. Bass. Obviously, he made some kicks tonight, and he wants two of those back, I'm sure. Those were some of the opportunities I was referring to overall as a team. But it never comes down to one person or one play.
I know you didn't want to touch too much on the officiating, but when you do go on the road, having as many penalties as you guys had today, from assessing that, how big of a problem was that in this game?
We'll look at them. I know one. I can just tell you one. I saw the replay. Our hands were outside the framework on one of the holds that got called. So I'm not going to get into how many we had, how many they had, or whether the calls were there or not. At the end of the day, you got to take the officials out of it. Is what you got to do with your level of play.
I know at the end of the day, winning and losing is all that really matters. But listening to one of the Eagles' defensive players after the game on the field doing an interview, he was like, Josh Allen's an MVP kind of quarterback. Have you seen that the last couple of weeks? Have you seen that switch a little bit?
Right. No, yeah, for sure. His level of play has risen over the last 2 weeks, and I think that's really the biggest thing. When your quarterback is playing well, you got a chance. And the inconsistency leading up to the last 2 weeks were why I made the decision. One of the reasons why I made the decision that I did to move forward here. So, but the last 2 weeks, Josh Allen's level of play has has been good enough for us to win.
We all know no moral victory, Sean, but I mean, is that something you feel like you can take, and maybe some other things? What do you take into the bye with you in your message to them as you look toward a week off and then the tough stretch?
Yeah, I mean, there are no moral victories. I am encouraged by the direction of our offense the last 2 weeks, and so I think, holistically as a team, we've got to assess where we're at, go and do some self-scout this week, and get ourselves ready for the Kansas City Chiefs.
John, last month, one of the things in the locker room that was thrown around was gut punch. And as you head into a bye after another loss, and I know they're all tough losses, how do you keep the guys up?
Yeah, you stand up. This is the league we're in, right? We came in here, we fought our asses off, we didn't make enough, we didn't do enough. Make enough plays, do enough on the coaching end, and at the end of the day, there's a tough group of guys in that locker room, right? So a tough group of coaches, and we're a good football team, and we just came out on the short end here. So there are no moral victories. Each and every one of us have to look at ourselves, and like I told you, that starts with me, and that's what you do. That's what the best do, and I know our football team's a darn good football team. Thanks, guys.
All right, Ticketmaster is the presenting sponsor of the Buffalo Bills 2023 season. Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the NFL. So the Bills head into a bye week with some things to think about. Self-scouting is what Sean McDermott said they would do this week as they have the week off and then prepare for the Kansas City Chiefs, which is up next in week 14 for this team. So we know they got 5 games left. These are 5 very, very important games for this team if they want a chance at the AFC East, a chance at the playoffs. It is do or die for this team. So what has to happen this week? I know it's an off week, but what can you do to get in a good place ahead of this Chiefs game coming up?
Well, you've certainly got to tighten up the miscommunications they've had on a certain number of occasions. You've got to get some guys healthy, which would really help. Their pass rush, their defensive front played extremely good for 2.5 to 3 quarters of that game. And you got to feel really good about it going forward. But you've got to play consistent. You got to hit on all cylinders, which means you can't drop crucial passes. You got to stay on the field on 3rd down, which they're really good at. And you can't miss field goals. Certainly all that stuff goes into the mix. But offensively, it seems like they've gotten it back on track. You got to like the way they're clicking offensively. Defensively, it was good up until the last minute, until Philly shifted gears, and then they looked like they weren't up to it. Certainly, Philly's got a lot of weapons you've got to keep an eye on. And Jalen Hurts, and to his credit, you really got to tip your hat to Jalen Hurts. He didn't pull out his running game until the second half of the game, and that's when it changed. And we kind of got to look at what teams see with Josh Allen. It's really hard to defend him, keep him in the pocket, and cover up the back end at the same time. And Philly was able to score enough points to get back in it, get it to overtime, and win.
Yeah. You got to fix those miscommunications, the missed opportunities. You got to force the other team to have missed opportunities because you can't miss any more opportunities with Week 13 ahead, a week off, then Week 14 back to competing against some really tough teams, Kansas City Chiefs and then the Dallas Cowboys. Tough road ahead for the Bills, but they are still in it. They still have a chance, but you are right. They got to be able to figure it out and win these close games. They can't be in the loss column too much more this season if they want a chance at the postseason. That's going to do it for us tonight. For Steve Tasker, I'm Maddy Glab. If you guys want more highlights, more breakdown, more player sound, make sure you tune into MSG tonight at 11:30 for Bills Tonight. We will see you all not next week. We have a week off. What am I saying? We will see you guys after the Chiefs game. Have a good one.